First off, congratulations on the movie.
Thank you.
Absolutely loved it. For someone that got brought up on 80s buddy action movies, this is perfect. I just spoke to David and he was saying about how that was kind of the influence on the movie. I mean, did you feel that when you read it for the first time, that it was slightly removed from Fast and Furious, but also its own beast, if you like?
When I read it for the first time, it wasn't a good read. If you must know. I got to say that these things end up becoming what they are. The first version of this that I read was not too... It was a little sort of fluffy and a little bit sort of devoid of sort of anything with teeth in it from the Shaw perspective. And every time you embark on something, you have to really give it the credence, and that needs a little bit of work. So they brought me on as a producer. Drew Pearce became my voice, and Drew Pearce is a fellow Brit. It's very hard to write, colloquial humour if you don't sort of understand the nature of, what we have to deliver in terms of, verbal insults and stuff like that. So Drew came on and he put an immense amount of integrity to the backstory with me and Brixton. Gave us a real ending there. He gave a great amount of dimension that would eventually lead to some reconciliation with my sister. And it became something much more appealing and became great. And it was just, I remember what I read first and then what we ended up doing was like night and day.
I spoke to you this time last year and you'd said that when I asked you about this particular movie, you said, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to talk about it or everything else. So now we can. And
now we reconvene, yes.
Really brought it. This character is fantastic. The story is fantastic, and for me, someone who loves 80s action movies, I was just saying to Jason and everybody else how much of a kick I got out of it. Did you get the same kind of kick being in that environment?
Yes, I mean, it was so different to Mission, like a completely different experience, and like the big reason, we were still working out when I saw you last, and a big thing for me, and we had lots of discussions with David and Kelly, who are amazing, and the studio and everybody about like how to make a female character, and that sort of like does something different and tries never to fall into the tropes of any, and is like, for me, like never being saved by the guys, and never creating a story where like, oh, we need to rescue the sister, that she was kind of like, actually I can do this on my own. It just so happens that I'm teaming with you guys because I have to, but I still have very much my own center, and she's kind of the straight man in a way while these guys are like fooling around, and that felt something I had to look after, and also, that she was as much of a fighter, that she wasn't objectified in any way, from like years and years ago, where that may or have happened. That felt exciting challenge, and actually like an odd kind of responsibility to do that.
First off, I did absolutely love the movie. For a child of kind of brought up on 80s action movies, it really kind of took me back to all of that kind of stuff. For you, I mean, what was the lure of this after doing something like Deadpool and going into the Fast and Furious?
Well, it was kind of irresistible, like you just said. Like, I grew up on 80s action movies, and I don't know, to not give one spoiler, there are some Easter egg posters in the movie of some 80s action movies that are there, so maybe second viewing, but look, Lethal Weapon sort of always came to mind when I read the first draft, and knowing these characters in the original, in sort of the last three installments, I saw the potential of that, and I was like, thought I couldn't pass up that opportunity.
Was this something that would you have taken on a Fast and Furious movie if it was a Fast and Furious movie, or was your creative brain kind of more tuned into the fact that it was Hobbs and Shaw and slightly more of an action movie?
I'll never say never. I mean, I was excited to get to work with Chris Morgan, and this world obviously is so important to the stunt community. Obviously, it's funny, I'm like one of the only stunt people that probably haven't taken a bullet on a Fast movie, because they hire the stunt community. But look, it was Hobbs and Shaw that made it special for me, and it was that sort of idea of this 80s throwback, or how do we reinvent the 80s buddy movie, for today. So that's why I really took it.
So I wanted to ask you, I mean, you've been with the franchise for a long time. What was it about kind of branching off that kind of interested you in the first instance?
Well, for me, a couple of things. You know, when you do the Fast films, we have a very large ensemble cast, which is great. That allows you certain things that other films won't. But one thing it does kind of restrict you on is you're not able to spend as much time digging down into characters' backstories, where they come from. So the idea to do, the spin-off, the first spin-off in the Fast world, was to kind of be able to take two characters and get a little deeper into where they're coming from, what they're after, who are their families. And so ever since, Fate of the Furious, when we put Dwayne and Jason in prison cells against each other and they just started lobbing insults, we knew, this is the first step, for sure.
Yeah. Was it refreshing as well to do something that was, it is a Fast and Furious film, but also you're able to kind of branch off into a big action movie, given that it's Dwayne and Jason. Was that refreshing for you as a writer to be able to have different beats and stuff?
Yeah, it's just a slightly different flavor. I mean, the tone is definitely fast. It's in our universe, it's in our timeline. But one of the beautiful things about bringing in David Leitch is who did Deadpool 2, he has a very good sense of comedy. And just, again, putting, Dwayne and Jason, in so many scenes where they are just at each other's throats and they would love nothing better than just to walk away from each other and solve the movie their own way. That just added the comedy. I mean, there's so many days where we'd wrap for the day, and they're long days, you get tired. But at the end of the day, you're just, your cheeks will hurt because you've been smiling so much because of things that they've said and insults that they toss. It's great. I'm lucky to do the job.
Obviously, you had a very small role in Mission Impossible, but you did get to quote-unquote throw down a little bit. Did that
not
help?
Really.
Did that help with that at all, or did it kind of mentally prepare you for being in, say, an action film environment?
Yes, it did. Watching Tom and how he goes about it, you realise, the thing that I really learned from Tom watching him was, it really is like a dance, and he's like a master of that choreography, like a true master, and what it takes. And I knew that taking this on, I was also doing a play at the time, and I knew that, they trained Charlize on Atomic Blonde, and they'd done all the action in Deadpool, and that was really fierce. And so I knew that it was going to be super challenging. I didn't have enough time. I had a month. And I was scared. And I was I just want to be able to do what Charlize is able to do and do it all in one long take. And, because it was the same team. And, she was really doing something different. You hadn't seen that from a woman before. And so I wanted to inject a little bit of that in something that's a very alpha male world, basically. And so I tried.
After doing The Crown, I can imagine maybe you thought Helen Mirren, you'd play Helen Mirren, or she'd be your mum in something that wasn't particularly this.
I thought I'd be on stage somewhere. Yeah, I know, it's hilarious.
That must have been quite cool, even to have.
Yeah, we hugged. We had a lot of a really, really beautiful couple of days together, and I love her. And it was both of us were like, what? This is crazy. But yeah, there was definitely kind of something about doing the movie as well where I felt like Princess Margaret really would have wanted to do those moves if she could, if she knew how. And she probably did in her own room, to an invisible queen.
You just touched upon the stunt community. I was going to ask you about that because I know that Jason and Dwayne have been very vocal about making sure that the stunt people get recognised more, and I know Tom Cruise has said the same thing. Is that something from your background that you hope going forward that they get more recognition for, whether it's awards, whether it's for just general recognition?
Yeah, I think I really appreciate that Jason and Dwayne both champion the stunt community. I've done a lot of work with Jason in the past, and he's a huge fan of stuntmen. Look, I hope that we finally get recognized by the Academy. I think it's really hard as a journeyman filmmaker and stuntman for 20 years. We're really one of the only key departments that doesn't get recognized by the Academy. So it's hard to celebrate on Oscar night when your friends in special effects, your friends in visual effects, your friends in production design that you've worked with for 20 years are all being nominated and celebrated. And especially movies like this or Mad Max. Mad Max is getting an Academy Award when that movie is, from beginning to end, involves the creativity and blood, sweat, and tears of stunt performers.
Yeah. Did your job get made slightly easier with the fact that Dwayne and Jason have such a great bond together? They're kind of yin and yang, but in this one, they do kind of mesh together in such a perfect way.
Absolutely. Their chemistry is real, and they're both so talented at it, and they had that dynamic. It was like second nature to them. So yes, that makes your job easy as a director. You get the pages, you lock down the lines, and you go, and then from there you build on alts and fun. And so again, it's one of the reasons why I took it. It seems like I've always wanted to work with those guys, but in this dynamic, it was like undeniable. Like, this is going to be so fun.
To them, you balance out with someone like Vanessa Kirby, who's fantastic, and we've seen over the weekend lots of Marvel films embracing kind of the female characters and everything. You've had Charlize recently and Helen. Yeah. I mean, Vanessa absolutely kills it in this. I mean, was she someone that you had in mind from the beginning?
Yes, and she, look, the goal was to set out and to create a character that is Shaw's sister, who is someone that is equally capable, equally badass, that can hold her own against these two alpha, hero guys. And it was Vanessa Kirby. She stepped in, and not only was she amazing at the action stuff, just toe to toe with the guys, line for line and, kind of look for look. She just crushed them. She's amazing.
Yeah, well, I interviewed her last year for Mission Impossible, actually, this time last year, and I know that one of the important things with the Mission movie, particularly the later ones, is the stunt guys and how they should be, there should be more awards for them, more recognition. And this one is full pelt, but I can imagine, I know Dwayne and Jason have said in the past that the job those guys do is half, also the heartbeat of the movie.
100%. 100%.
It's pretty full on, this one as well.
It is.
They really kill it in this, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, when you look at the stunt sequences, just the fights alone are pretty incredible. But then you get the Peterbilt truck against the helicopter and the linked trucks and cliff edge, and you're like, yeah, these guys are earning their money for sure. Yeah, we're really lucky to work with the best crews in the business.
You said about your character and how the female character was very different to say how they would have been in action movies, and we've just seen Marvel announce all these very female-centric driven roles. Are you glad to be in a movie like this where your character is fully developed and she gets to not just throw down, but she gets her own story rather than just being the damsel in distress, if you like?
Yeah, it was so critical that she wasn't a woman in peril that these guys were coming to rescue. It was really crucial, and it was like a daily conversation, like, oh, that line, no, we can change this, and we shouldn't say this, and how can we make sure that I do this move, which means that like, it's tiny little subliminal things, but I really, really cared about any females that were coming to the movie and looking after them, and especially like younger girls that would come. And I know from a younger girl, like as it being younger, like watching certain things that you don't even realize that messages that you're getting, or you're less capable than your brother, like even E.T., it's the boy that gets to do it, so the girl should get to do it, and I was really glad that we took care of that in this.
And obviously Fast 9 is happening now.
Correct.
Have they given you an indication of whether Hobbs and Shaw, if it's successful and people embrace it in the same way, that you might be able to do another one, or any other spin-offs that might
I think
out?
It's the same rules that we have always worked with and operated with Fast, which is we do the best job, we're collaborative, best idea always wins, fight for the audience, and then if they respond to it and like it, we have other stories and we'd love to dig in. We're prepared, but we always leave it up to them, and we hope they embrace it because we have some really fun ideas.
Yeah. Do you guys look at, just as a final question, look at kind of, I know people have said in the past, or this year particularly with the box office slightly been down, but then there's Marvel doing amazing stuff. Are you hopeful that this finds a similar audience to Fast, but also finds maybe a new audience that if they didn't like fast cars would embrace that kind of full-on action movie?
For sure, and I think that trend has also been consistent with the Fast franchise as well. We're always growing and evolving into a heist sort of film, and now we have a little sci-fi, little superhero in here, specifically designed because we have these two alpha guys that need someone to beat them down badly. Thus we went a little bit, sci-tech in here. But yeah, I think so. I think if this is your first entry into the Fast movies, there's nothing you really need to know. You can come and you can enjoy it, and you may be a fan, and then that may drive you to go back and go, wait, maybe there's more to these other films than we thought. Maybe it's more than just racing, and it is. Yeah.
It seems to be with this, and you mentioned Mad Max and then obviously Mission Impossible and John Wick. There seems to be this great kind of new revelation in some ways of the action movie, in that it's getting back to kind of ground level in many ways. Was that important for you in this to have the kind of more the bigger moments, but also have kind of stunts and fights at the core of it?
Yes, I mean, again, like I can't separate the stunt performer from who I am and as a director, and I wanted to have some of those visceral, grounded fights. You get to see Hobbs and Shaw both have those. One in Samoa, one in the apartment with the Mercs with Jason, where he hits the guys with a toaster. Like, that's all classic 8711 stuff, right? But then we knew we needed to service the Fast fans in a bigger way. But what I still tried to do was enhance it with practical stunts. that chase in Samoa where we hang the cars off the helicopter. There's so much practical stuff going on that people will never realize. Real helicopters, real cars, and there's a lot of great digital artistry from our VFX brothers. So it's a good collaboration.
Yeah, once you've done something like this and you've also done Mission, there's all these rumours of you maybe playing Catwoman somewhere down the line or something or other. But I'm personally more interested to see if White Widow will be back in the 2 new Mission Impossible movies, because it's a double whammy. So
it's a double whammy, yeah.
Call yet from Tom, or is he too busy flying planes at the moment?
Yeah, I think, they're on recce's at the moment. I know that they're searching all these different locations, and the script's always built around their locations. So I have no idea what Chris is planning. And I would love to do more of that character. I loved her. I really liked her. And I liked playing a bit of a psycho. Hattie's not a psycho.
Is the Selena Kyle Catwoman a character you'd quite like to tackle if the opportunity came up? Would you prefer to do something more like Michelle Pfeiffer or more like Anne Hathaway? Because she's more of like a grifter in the newer one. God. I think Michelle's wicked, right? She's awesome. But yeah, who knows? Yeah. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about a third Deadpool movie. I know that Marvel have, over the weekend, thrown out all of their slate for the next few years. Have they given you any indications, since obviously the Disney merge and everything, that they do want to do a Deadpool 3 and do it in the same way, or you kind of not been told what the plan is just yet?
I only hear a little bit of rumblings from the side, and good rumblings. I think it would be foolish to get rid of Deadpool from their universe. Again, I can't speak to their slate. I saw they just announced it, but there's hope that there's Deadpool in the future, whether he lives in R or PG-13 or who cares. Like, Deadpool's fun, and I would love to be involved. So.
Yeah, me too. Well, I love the movie. Thank you so much for your time. Absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Cheers. This feels like there's been a few movies recently. I said this to David earlier, that a kind of a renaissance of these kind of more gritty, grounded action movies with Mission Impossible and John Wick, and this kind of feels like that. And obviously, David, being a stuntman, and you've been very vocal about stunt teams getting recognition. I mean, was it important that this had the fantastical elements, but was also kind of grounded, and you and Dwayne, everyone could get really stuck in?
Yeah, I think you're always going to smell it. Everyone, literally. I mean, nowadays you can hide so much in editing. You can almost have a stunt person do all your stuff. It's pretty much that way. They can paint a face on a different body. They can cheat whatever they want. If they can make, cars fly through buildings, they can, stick a face on someone. It's very, very easy to bury things into the world of CG and editing. But I think what you allow yourself to do when you put me, Idris, and Dwayne together is the fact we do come from a physical background. Dwayne does, myself, Idris has a very proficient sort of martial arts background in kickboxing and Thai boxing, Muay Thai. So we get to drill down on that, and we get to do practical sort of filming. We get to shoot in camera as much as we physically want to. And for me, that is a massively important element to what we do, is to try and capture what we do and put it on camera. We're playing these roles. We want people to believe that we are them, and we are those characters. And if you have the skill set, then you should put it on camera. But there is a world that, it's the magic of editing. The thing about people like, Bruce Lee is the pioneer for all of what we call the emotional content within action. He'll dispatch like 5 guys, and the camera will push in, and there he is right there. There's no trickery. So nowadays it's all very chopped up and cut, and you never get to feel the emotion. So some directors do and some don't, and I think your limitations of what you can do with the skill set of the actor that you're trying to make look good. So if you can do it, you can put a camera on and they can feel it almost, and as long as they know how to put it together.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yeah.
Nice.
Hey You Guys!